Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Um, I am coming to you with another Sunday school video. Just to let you know, this lesson, I know last week's was tough. This week's is not easy either. And here's why I want us to do this. Here's why we're using this material. Is I really do want to be able to teach our students the story of the scriptures from beginning to end, and to see God's faithfulness, to see man's rebellion and God's faithfulness throughout the scriptures. And the reason why he sent Jesus for that. So I know that some of these are tough. We're getting into Joshua next week, so that'll be great. I'm excited. I love the book of Joshua. But right now, in lesson 4, we are finishing up the book of Deuteronomy, and basically the last part of the Pentateuch, so the last part of the law. And what we see in the story today is Moses is not allowed to enter into the promised land because he struck he had sinned against God, and so God said, "You're going to get to see it, but you're not going to enter it." And what we see is that God raises up Joshua to be the successor of Moses, and he and I think it's great. A couple of reasons. One is I think there's something about raising up next generation and raising up people to take the mantle and leadership. Like for you as teachers, what's it look like for you to already be thinking about who is the next person one day that I can raise up to come alongside me and then take over my class one day? Or who is the student that I'm investing in one day that's going to become a leader? Or motivate the students. Who are they investing in that's going to be raised up as a leader one day that's going to take their place? We've got high schoolers who have a great opportunity to invest in the middle schoolers. We have middle schoolers who know of kids who are coming up in the youth group this next year that they have the opportunity to pour into. And so, what does it look like for us to motivate them to be people who are always looking for their successor, who looking for the person that they could pour into? So, I really want us to emphasize that with our students. That's what life is about. Life is about um, discipling and raising up leaders. And if we don't do that as a continual process, then it'll fall apart. Another two things I want us to emphasize in the story is we see the we see the nature in which our sin disappoints God. God tells them, "Look, I know what's going to happen. I'm all knowing. All right, so you're going to get in this land, and you're going to say that you're going to be faithful, but you're not. You're going to choose to chase after the other gods. You're going to choose to do your own thing. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to let you do it. If this is what you want, I'm going to let you do it and let you see how terrible it is and how it doesn't fulfill." It reminds me of Romans chapter 1, where he says that he gave them up to the desires of their flesh. So what he's saying is, like, he's talking about us as people. Like, we have these desires, and finally God's like, "Okay, this is what you want. You can have it." And with that comes the disappointment of our sin, like us feeling that it doesn't match up, but then also the punishment of God for choosing bad things. I got a 2-year old who, my goodness, he is in the terrible 2 stage right now, and he just does not want to obey so often. I can't tell you how many spankings he's gotten from jumping on the couch, but he continues to jump on the couch, right? And the other day, he flipped backwards up off the couch because he was jumping on it, and he got hurt and he was crying. And part of it, Sarah was talking about, it's like, "Hey, look, this is what you get. I mean, this you keep wanting to do this. We keep telling you no. It's what you get," kind of thing. Maybe you'll learn from this. So we see the same thing happening with the Israelites. God tells them write this song. Look, this is it's going to be what happens. But here's what I love. Even in that, he still tells them this in chapter 32, verse 43. It says, "Rejoice, you nations, concerning his people. For he will avenge the blood of his servants. He will take vengeance on his adversaries. He will purify his land and his people." See, God would not give up on his promise to bless the nations through Israel. God wouldn't. He had a better plan. I love this whole paragraph on page 36 of our lesson. It says, "The people would abandon God, find themselves in a position of judgment, and be unable to find deliverance through the powerless pagan gods. But God would never abandon them. Not only will he vindicate them from before their enemies, he will also purify them in the land of promise." This is the promise the Israelites would need to cling to. This is the message of hope. Even when they acted as if they were finished with God, he was not finished with them, and he would continue to work in them so that he might work through them. I love this. It's such a good reminder for me as well. So often I choose to go my own way and I choose to do my own things and I think that I know what's best for my life. And every time I'm left there thinking, why in the world did I decide to do that? But God in that doesn't look at me and say, you're a failure. I'm done with you. I'm finished with you. He looks at me and goes, okay, it's all right. I've got you. I'm here. And he keeps me close. And so I hope I hope this lesson, I hope this is something that you can really pour into these students. One, let's talk about the need to disciple and the need to pour into the next generation, the next people coming behind us. Let's also talk about what our sin gets us. The wages of sin is death, right? Like we earn God's face to be hidden from us for our sin, right? We earn the chastisement that comes from our sin because we choose it. But then finally, we know that in light of our sin, in the middle of our sin, God doesn't leave us. He doesn't abandon us. That He's there and He's going to be there, so that He might continue to work His plan in and through us. So, hope that's helpful for y'all. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me, text me, call me, whatever you need. Thanks, guys.